Welcome to Keep It Humane, the podcast, where we dive deep into topics surrounding kindness, compassion, and creating a more humane world, whether it's in our communities, in the workplace, or in the world of animal control and shelters. With our hosts,
Ashley Bishop.
And Ashley Bishop.
And I'm Daniel Ettinger. This show is sponsored by Tomahawk Live Trap. Check them out, livetrap.com. All right. You're back for another episode of Keep It Humane, the podcast with
Texas Bishop.
And Wisconsin Bishop. She is at a rice patty factory today, making rice cakes. So hopefully she can get all that done and packaged up because she's such a busy working girl, man. I don't know how she does it.
I don't know where you come up with these things. Just random on the fly.
100% random on the fly, and I'm delusional AF right now. And that's another topic for another day. What's good there's not a lot good that's not fair to say it that way. I was gonna say there's not a lot good in Texas. You're there. The humane educators of Texas are there. There's some other good things in Texas. But right now,
I don't put myself in the same, plane as humane educators. No.
I love those girls, but I put you higher. Sorry.
No,
yes,
not even.
No,
not even.
No disrespect. Kelly and Tabitha, that's my girl right here.
We're good. The rain hasn't stopped, I will say. As everybody knows, I know this episode will air a little bit later, but there's some big floods going on in Texas, or did. Unfortunately, a lot of people lost their lives. A lot of shelters are scrambling right now, unfortunately. They're being helped. The community, Texas for Texas, y'all. When Texas is in disaster, we don't need FEMA. I hate to get political here, but Texas helps their own. Everybody's been really stepping up, and kudos to all the orgs that are really working really hard to help those communities come back. We actually are doing a drive for one of the bigger shelters that is actually out in Tabitha and Kelly's area. So hopefully we'll be taking out some resources to them because they took on quite a bit of animals. But other than that, we're chilling. We're chilling. Summertime is here and it's slow for us because of the town we're in. So
because college is out, right? That's why.
Oh yeah. It slows down a lot for us. So yeah. I'm looking forward to them coming back because we need to get animals out.
And then in a few months, she'll be like, "F them kids."
Honestly, luckily we moved out of the major city, so we're far away from all of that. But man, trying to get somewhere in this town when they're all here, it's a blessing. A curse. It's very bittersweet, but I love it here. Go Tamu. I'm an Aggie, so
let's go. I got stories, yo. Just little bits and pieces. First and foremost, why do people get mad when you just try to educate them on putting their dog on a leash, as a regular citizen, not as animal control officer so-and-so. And maybe it's the way that I do it sometimes. So I'm walking, and Mooney, my dog, he's somewhere in here chilling.
Mooney.
He's like, "Dad, why are we here and not at the beach?" But that's fine. We'll get there. So just the other day, we're out for a walk, and Mooney's on a leash always, #always, unless it's at a dog park or the dog beach. And we come across this family, seemed like a normal family, with a child and a small dog off leash. And the guy's like, "Man, I hope your dog's friendly." And I was like, "Whoa." I was like, "Sir, that's exactly why they invented leashes. Because if he wasn't friendly, it would be really bad right now." And he got mad at me. And I'm like, where is that coming from? But it could have been my tone and delivery too. So,
no, it's always the small dog people. Why is it? They're always the one worry about the world around them. I'm a small dog person, as everybody knows. Luckily I don't have monster chihuahuas. Everybody calls them ankle biters and everything, but mine are not.
Yours are good.
Yeah, mine are pretty good for the most part. I have one street dog that came from my city. He tends to get a little, iffy sometimes, but he comes around pretty quick. But it's always the small dog people. Why?
I don't know. And
why?
it was bizarre. And then I guess I could have not been so condescending with my comments, but I was just, I'm like, think about it. Because we've seen it. And that's what I'm like, if my dog wasn't friendly and your little dog just ran up to my dog, snap. In fact, rest in peace to my old dog, Dirt Dog. Um, I had him for about 11 years, and he was not a friendly dog, and I did my best to keep him away. And one time, I felt really bad. I did. I felt really bad. We were walking back from wherever, just on a walk, and one of the neighbors, it was like he knew the dog, but he could never see it, and they had beef. You know how that is. Like, what? And I was like, shit, this little poodle was running up on us. And he literally picked that little bad boy up and shook him. And I was like, oh my God, this was years ago. This was like 16, 17 years ago. And I felt so bad. And he ended up putting like 4 stitches on this dog's back. And I tried to pay for it, everything. And the neighbor was like, no, they actually took responsibility. They were like, it was our fault. Our dog shouldn't have been out running in, like at you, all this stuff. So there are, I guess, good people in the world. And I like did my best to try to keep that dog away, you know?
It's 2025, man. Like it's
Yeah.
just people are on a different level, I feel like. Like there's no talking to somebody you don't know
Oh, that's true.
about not an issue, but just kind of something that you notice
Yeah.
as a passerby. I try to tell this to my husband all the time because I was like, people are nuts in these days. You don't know what people are capable of. You don't know what they're going through on that day. Somebody's having
Hmm.
a bad day that's just gonna like go postal. So it's just the time, I feel, it's just
100%. But on a good note that may make you cringe, we were walking
oh,
around downtown last night, and it was me and Mooney. And he is a super friendly dog. The only thing he doesn't like are skateboards. And so
anything with wheels.
yeah, but we're walking and we just walked by this like family, and there's probably I would say she was probably like 7 or 8. And she just lit up and saw him and pet him on the head without asking. And I was about to be that guy. Like, you're always supposed to ask before you pet. But it was almost like she recognized that he was nice. It was pretty funny. Anyway, yeah, that's where I'm at today.
Dan's a
Also,
little tired, folks. So
yeah, I'm tired. I was up for a long time. We'll talk about it at some point. Please check out our website, keepithumane.com, keepithumane.com. Also, Tomahawk Live Track. Wow. Tomahawk Live Trap. They're celebrating their 100th year in business. It's a family owned and operated business who work with humane professionals around the world to produce the safest and most effective animal handling equipment available. You can save 10% on their products by using discount code Keep It Humane. That's right, Keep It Humane in all caps, no spacing. You can visit them online at livetrap.com or call them at 800 272 8727. I forgot how to do phones. So
guys, I'm really excited for today's episode.
same, because we'll be preaching on this episode. What do we be preaching?
Good stuff.
Okay, she's not following. She's not. You're
Enough.
not tracking.
I think I know what you're tracking, but
All right, shoot it out. What is it?
spay neuter.
Yes. See, you knew all along, bro.
I did.
All
I
right, cool.
did. I'm excited. I'm excited. Since I've been on the show, our guest today is not in the States.
Yes.
So we're excited to get him on, talk about what they're doing, talk about their organization. Thomas, what is up? Welcome to the Crazy Show. How are you doing?
Crazy shit.
I'm doing all right. Yes, no, I'm living my Latin American life abroad, coming back stateside, kind of go back and forth. But no, things are well. The new direction for the organization is looking promising, and yeah, just happy to be here. Thank you.
Thomas, the founder, one of, I think, co-founder of the Animal Alliance. I need one of those fancy machines that does the applauses when we do. You know what I mean? Thomas, can you give a little background of who you are, how the Animal Alliance got founded and started?
Certainly. So the Animal Alliance started, I guess, coming up on August will be 2 years. It was a simple idea to direct resources and funding to Latin America for spay neuter services. We felt it was the most compassionate way to control suffering, the overpopulation problem on a global scale. We felt starting in Latin America made the most sense. Another kind of co-founder and main member of the Animal Alliance lives in Nicaragua, my older sister.
What up, girl?
Um, yeah, yeah, she came here on a volunteer trip years and years ago. met a man, started a family, and lives inside the capital. So just in my visits to visit her, my niece, and the family, we would just see the reality of animals in Nicaragua. It was just a lot more visible and a lot more harsh than what we're used to in the States.
Mm.
And on one of my trips, my brother-in-law's family has 9 dogs, about 11 cats. And then we just were having conversation on, well, are they fixed? They said, well, of course not. We're not going to pay for it. I thought, well, are there any barriers in any capacity to not getting them fixed, sterilized outside of just money? And they go, no, it's just if with the limited amount of like resources for a lot of rural communities in Latin America, they don't have the ability to go like fund these surgeries. It's simply a financial decision of, like, will we eat? Can we provide for family, or will we take care of these animals? So then we thought, oh, well, we'll sponsor them. So we sponsored our family's animals. And then they told their neighbors. Well, then their neighbors approached us on the trip and said, well, I have 4 dogs. Would you sponsor them? I thought, well, of course. Because again, the price for spay neuter surgery in Nicaragua is radically cheaper than it is in the States. And then they told their neighbors. So I thought, well, this is an interesting idea. This is a concept. Let's do something about it. My family was in the process of moving back to Nicaragua. We were still stateside, and we thought we always wanted to start this like format of an organization. I grew up in animal rescue. My mom and some friends started a foster home network on the kind of like state line in North Carolina and Tennessee from High Kill Shelter. So I just my entire life just grew up like taking in mama dogs and puppies, having them rehomed. And if like we wouldn't have like brought in those animals, they all would have been put down, and that's just very sad. So we just thought like the time to start a U.S. based nonprofit working in Latin America, predominantly Nicaragua and El Salvador. This was just the time. So that's kind of the early stages of how this all began.
That's so cool.
It is so cool because I have some experience because I'm from deep South Texas, so I kind of know, Matamoros was literally right across. You could walk. We had 3 or 4 international bridges that we could cross to all the time, and as a kid, I would, we would walk all the time. We would park on stateside and then walk over there and go to the markets and all that stuff. But, as a kid before I got into this industry, now that I look back at all the stray animals that were in the small little cities, or we would go out to the maquiladores when my mom was doing missionary work, and the amount of stray animals that is out there, is not comparable to what we have kind of going on in the States because I feel like it's a different mentality, and it's not a good mentality or a bad mentality or anything like that. It's just how it is. It's the culture of what's going on there. They have these street animals. Sometimes they're taken care of by the community, and they're just out there. They get fed by whoever's passing by, or there's a few houses and whatnot. So what has been kind of y'all's biggest hurdle in trying to spread this message of why it's important to spay and neuter, but two, to like actually getting those resources to those people?
Um, yeah, so kind of a part of our big rebrands now is we're branding ourselves as becoming more than just a spay and neuter service, like I guess funder. Because the reality of coming up on our second year in operation is we felt the value proposition of the same amount of money like that someone would apply to spay neuter in the States can honestly genuinely do 7 to 8 times more in Latin America. We thought the simple proposition that you can just impact more animals' lives. Again, a dog in Nicaragua compared to a dog in Texas is still like a being that should be cared for and respected.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that was enough, to be honest. Fast forward, that pitch just hasn't worked well. People stateside do like radically value like their community, and they want to help their community first, and to think about a country that they've never been to, that they've never seen. I can show them photos, I can show them videos, I can say I've been abroad for over a year, but it didn't land as well as I guess as well or as quickly as we imagined. So just getting people to care about what's happening like across the border has been incredibly difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So really, yeah, getting people to care about animals that aren't in their local community, and for a new organization, getting them to want to invest in us opposed to a much more established organization who does provide direct care. Kind of the second layer of that is we don't provide direct care. We just partner with trusted organizations in those communities because we can't come into an organization, at least our primary partner here in Nicaragua. They've been in operation for 2 decades. They have like staff, they have the sanctuary, they have the space, well, we've been around for just a couple of years. I can't come into this situation. I don't have the background. I don't have this. I don't have the resources to make that all happen. But I have a connection to the United States and funding opportunities to empower them to amplify their message. So it was a confusing concept. We felt to a lot of people too that we didn't provide the direct care. We simply provided the funding to amplify the work of the rescues already on the ground here. So I think as we've kind of molded ourselves, as we've been in operation for longer and have been able to speak to more people, people understand. But for a new NGO, that has been quite the hill to climb.
It's kind of, we didn't really plan it out this way specifically, but if you if you caught our last episode where we talked to Dr. G about the Rascal unit, and she's going around the state of Ohio with these vehicles that are, fitted to be mobile veterinary clinics. Like, man, I'd love to see a world where we had just like a whole fleet around the world where we have veterinarians cruising around on mobile units doing all this work. Because as you mentioned, and as Bishop talks about too, like our pathway to getting this situation under control, whether it's in other countries that I can't pronounce, like Nicaragua. I tried, bro. Even the RZA can say it from the Wu Tang. Like he has a whole verse about it. Anyway, but I can't say it. But my point is, like, whether it's in countries where we have street dogs or whether it's here where we have this massive overpopulation, is massive. Can I say that? Is it
It is a
massive?
massive
It's
overpopulation. I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah, it's a big problem. Yeah,
Do you work in
it
the
is.
like you said I think you said your mother, is she still involved in rescue? Yeah.
So she fosters. She still to this day fosters
Okay.
mostly mama dogs and puppies or kittens.
Okay.
Um, so she's been in this world her entire life. Again, not her primary source of income,
Sure.
but
But shout
she
out.
really
Yeah.
cares about animals. So I
Shout
guess
out to mom, man. That's awesome.
yeah, it impacted me quite a bit. We could say.
And it transitions into this. You made a comment as far as like, and it's an unintentional comment. It's how we've been labeled, but high kill shelter, right? Like this um, view on basically what animal shelters can and can't do, and I field questions about this stuff all the time. Is there a way that you like? Do you see any of that down there? Just with your work abroad, like how shelters operate or how rescues operate, like is euthanasia happening? What does that look like?
is there a no-kill movement
Yeah.
like outside the borders of the states?
Mm,
No, so this is at least so we predominantly operate in Nicaragua, El Salvador, and we've done some work in Mexico.
okay.
Um, in the communities that we are at, the concept is so dramatically different than it would be compared to any stateside operation that the I guess like a state sponsored or like community sponsored shelter doesn't exist. The thought of just there is no concept of this. Just the realities of communities here, it's very people focused, and just the realities of people trying to just help their
Survive.
families. Like, yeah, that's a good way to survive. That animals are by far not on the forefront in any capacity. Um, so for that, for the even for the local rescues, a lot of rescues we've like experienced like operating like in a virtual manner. So it's just kind of like groups of people that are putting together like friends, families to just like house animals and treat animals in their homes. Just again, the funding to be able to even run a facility costs quite a bit of money, and the reality is like that is just too big of a hurdle to overcome. So I feel like most of these communities haven't even got to the point of like considering euthanasia, high kill. It's just the animals are on the street.
Hmm.
So if like there isn't kindness, compassion that like community members helping to feed these animals, give these animals water, like in the streets in these local towns, there just is no thought to the animals on the ground here. Um, that's it's just so different. It's nothing like I've ever experienced, and having been abroad for this amount of time, I've never experienced anything like this in a way. So it's nice that the animals are able to like have a life, even if it is on the beach, like in the streets, um, compared to kind of going to a high kill shelter or somewhere they would be put down. But it's just a very different reality.
How would you feel like if you went somewhere in the States? based on everything you know, and we just had outdoor dogs, street dogs, just like they do in other countries. Do you think that's a good solution for the problem that we have? Because I know it comes up. It comes up where we should tee in our dogs in this country. But everything's different down there. Like they don't have major highways. So I'm just curious, like what you would think, like if you saw somewhere in the States TNR and dogs.
Um, it would be, I just, again, kind of growing up in the States, seeing that that just wasn't a reality. When you do see an animal that is like in the wild, like on the streets, you think it's a massive problem. I do think staying in Latin America for this amount of time has kind of broadened my perspective to it might not be, and this is just my opinion, it might not be as big of a problem because if these animals are cared for, they do live joyful lives, at least a large majority of them. Because just again, the highway systems are not as built up here. So the animals are able to kind of like walk on the streets, be in these local communities, and community members do care for them in very small ways. We were very surprised our primary uh, partner in El Salvador in this local community we were staying in, 90% of the animals that were in the streets did have owners or had people that cared for them. They weren't homeless. So we had to shift our messaging on, oh, help the homeless animals. She's like, no, 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 they're not homeless. They're cared for. They just they don't have traditional homes like we do in the States. So I think I brought my perspective on like these animals do create communities for themselves, and then the communities do care for them in ways. And who's to say that these animals that do have to sleep outside, do have to sleep at the beach or like underneath the shops, aren't living a happier life than being put down too early. So it would be shocking, but I would be more open to the concept now.
And it's we anthropomorphize, right? So in the States, come here, boy. Come here. In the States, this guy, if you can see him on YouTube, there he is.
The
Like,
booty.
Yeah.
he's my boy. I'm not embarrassed to say, like, the homie sleeps on the bed, right? Like, that's my guy. He sits on the couch where we watch Ellen DeGeneres. I actually don't watch Ellen DeGeneres, but if I did, he would sit there with me and we would watch it and chop it up. Uh, but we anthropomorphize. So like if you see these dogs out on the street, you're like, oh, but it needs to be, in a home. Those dogs don't know no different, right? Like that is their life. And
Mhm.
in fact, one of my one of my favorite books, and I believe you read it too, Bishop. It's Animals Make Us Human
Mm-mm,
by Temple Grandin.
mm-mm.
Oh, we fighting, son.
Yeah.
Why
Have
you want
talk.
to fight me today?
I don't, because I'm on one. I was up for hours. I'm literally drained out. My battery's on 20%. I'm in DND mode. No, but Temple Grandin wrote this really cool book about animals make us human, and in the book, she talks about that movement of, you know, not both of you were too young, but when I was growing up, a dog would go
No.
out. A dog would go out in the morning and come home at night. Like they would just let dogs run. All right, it was a generation or two before me, but that was a thing. And she attributed some of the behavioral problems that we see in dogs due to the restraint. Now, she also says that we shouldn't allow dogs to run free because we've created a world where it doesn't exist for them in the United States because of these gas and electric vehicles that buzz through at 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 miles an hour. And so it makes sense not to do that, but she does believe part of that behavioral thing that we see currently is due to the restraint, walking them on leashes, holding them back, because behaviorally, that, like barrier aggression, etc.
What an interesting perspective. I don't know that I've thought about it outside of that. You know me though. I'm the epidemiology
Mm-hmm.
nerd over here. So for me, and having dogs and cats just roaming around that are maybe taken care of or not maybe taken care of. I mean, I'm thinking about the possibilities of rabies or anything else like that. So for me, on that perspective of things, communicable disease or zoonotic disease, just in general,
Yeah.
it blows my mind um, for something like that to continue in a community and not be an issue.
Yeah.
Do you see any of that, Thomas? So like on the care that you guys or that these communities are giving, are you guys seeing any of that? Are you guys seeing any spread of disease, or is it just something that people don't really look at? It's just kind of the life cycle of, the street dog. It's, 5, 6 years or whatever the time span is. Like, are people thinking of that?
No.
Okay.
Um, That's where the realities of kind of the care given here is you have to really understand the perspective, just kind of care no matter what. So as long
Mhm.
as it's like benefiting in some capacity, like that does matter compared to what it, like the reality could be outside of that. So I would say it's definitely not in the forefront. The animal culture, at least in Latin America, is decades behind what it would be compared to the
Yeah.
States.
Mhm.
So in the come again, things are changing. Like organizations that we're meeting and we're trying to partner with, they are like making steps forward, but it's years and years behind.
Mm.
Yeah, I see that, and it's hard to change that cultural mentality too, and it's hard to find a way to go about it. Because me and myself being Hispanic, I saw a lot of that, especially in the area, the area I grew up in and was born in. I mean, it's one of the poorest areas in the United States. So to kind of see that initial suffering that kind of happens in our communities that's still kind of happening now is tough, and then to try to explain like these animals are beyond you know, just a dog or a cat. Like we domesticated them for a reason. There's a reason why the world has these. Like we should take care of them because we are the ones who made them, essentially.
Absolutely, we did. Yeah, like we've created this world where they, especially here, and I would imagine even in countries where there's street dogs, like they depend on
Mm-hmm.
us, right? And and that's why I think the we're such the motivators of like fixing the problem, because we know, like, even though we might not have directly created the problem, we definitely indirectly created the problem.
Yeah, we
And
didn't help.
yeah, and here we are,
Yeah.
and here you
Yeah.
know.
We kind of made it worse, to be honest. Like we're just there's so many factors in our industry, whether it's here or outside of the states, where everybody's opinion kind of doesn't focus on what really matters, and I think it's hard to get past that sometimes. But Thomas, so what other things are you guys doing beyond spay and neuter? Like, are you guys holding any kind of classes for companion animal wellness and education, things like that?
So that's a well, great question. So kind of as we saw the spay neuter program be entirely dependent upon myself, my co-founder, and my sister, we felt that was not a sustainable model to continue on. It was a passion of ours. We felt like if we can make an impact in a very small way, we're at just over 275 animals we've sponsored as an organization over the last almost 2 years. We felt that made an impact to some capacity, just kind of self-funded. And we thought, great, we will broadcast this to the world and say, in a small ways, we've done X with this outside investment, with this, we can do so much more. That still has not landed as well as we would have liked, and we thought we need to really transform like the initial concept again, still to get funding to what we feel is most important, spay neuter services. So we've gone very heavy into educational community engagement programs. I was very fortunate to put up a posting on LinkedIn seeking a director of development. I thought I would find one person to come in, have connections to all of the wealthiest people in the United States, and they say the Animal Alliance is such a cool concept. Here's all the money. That was the hope. I got even luckier. I met our chief development officer, Brooke Moreland, and just based on like our talks going back and forth, she could see that I had this like undying passion for this concept, and I was just having the hardest time getting the steps to make that dream a reality, and for her to kind of like be like this like a systems research oriented individual, she in essence put together programs for us to connect back with like shelters in the US, because we as a youth nonprofit we do need to not abandon what we're able to do in the States. I think I took living abroad and being on the ground a little too serious. So what we've kind of rebranded is we call it the Animal Alliance Community Engagement Program, to where we are approaching like rescues in local communities. So in your community, Huntington Beach, wherever it may be, trying to partner with that local humane society, that like people in those communities that have any form of influence for animal welfare, and say we're going to co-facilitate an animal welfare course that we are creating, just on the broad perspectives of just animal welfare as a whole. That if we're able to do that, we can seek community-oriented funding, economic development funding, saying this organization is partnered with an organization on the ground to promote animal welfare and civic engagement. because our cohorts will have 25 to 30 people, we get these people to now come into our ecosystem. This rescue, the Animal Alliance, comes together to teach a course on animal welfare, on animal education. We've now empowered, 25 to 30 more people to go into their communities and care. As much as, again, like we like to think like us as ourselves, like we're going to make the biggest impact in the world. We do in very small ways, but we can make more of an impact if we can broadcast our message on what we care about to the world, to our local community, because then those 30 people can then go broadcast their message to their 5 family members, their friends and family, and then it can spread in that capacity. So we've leaned very heavily into programs. So we've created these animal welfare programs, again, to bring in people that just seem to be re-engaged with these local rescues, and to see that we've found most rescues don't have the time or capacity to put on these kind of courses, or don't have the resources. They're dealing with on the ground. An animal just got hit by a car. It got brought in. Someone just surrendered, a litter of cats. They have to handle those like very actionable items, where we want to come in and just provide support and to facilitate to get people re-engaged, to get people that do have an interest in animal welfare to just understand how they're able to help. So we've kind of pivoted very heavily into these programs to get people back into the animal welfare ecosystem, so we can then kind of relay the message: spay neuter is very important. If you're interested in donating funding for the animals in El Salvador, Nicaragua, we are here to assist in that.
So you keep saying that it's small. No, even if it's one animal that you spayed or neuter, Thomas, that is amazing. You're creating a world for that animal that is, hopefully longer living because they got spayed or neutered. So don't discredit yourself. You guys are doing amazing work, even if it's just one animal or 2 animals or one community or 2 communities. Y'all are doing amazing work.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, man. Like
Yeah,
I was at
absolutely.
it's funny you were saying that, Bishop, because I'm sitting there thinking while he's talking right now, like I can't wait to check in a couple years and see how it's grown. Like that's the reality. As you look at something here that you have, man, you're on the right track.
No, I appreciate that. No, it's and it seems like most people in the animal welfare space, if you can start with just having a desire to help, things will work out eventually. You just have to stay committed. That sometimes it just takes time. There's no business plan in this sense. You don't just create a product and say, here, people need it, they come to you. It takes time. You need to meet the right people, broadcast the right message to the right person, and then things kind of take off. So it's been a journey.
Yeah. So what are y'all including like here in the States with your education programs? Like how are you pitching, okay, we're doing this community workshops and things like that. And then are people buying into what you're doing in Latin countries with this program?
So to kind of give it the core example of how this began is Brooke and I kind of went back and forth, and we would meet, 2 or 3 times a week. And kind of as we went back and forth, she was interested in the position solely based on she cares for. I mean, I think a lot of people care for animals. They don't want to see them harmed anyway, but they're not fully invested in animal welfare.
Mhm.
But her children are. So when she saw, the effort, director of development for the Animal Alliance, again tied to like an animal NGO, she thought, well, my children care about this. Well, maybe I should learn more. And then just like the enthusiasm that we both had for each other, I thought, okay, this could be a very clever idea. She came into this world simply because like of her children. So we so we felt like, okay, well, we're both spending different ways, but if we can just engage people into this like greater concept, we have no idea what can happen. With our first partner, our first official partner was the Young Williams Animal Center in Knoxville, Tennessee. So quite a large rescue in the state of Tennessee. I mean, for us to land a state larger than the countries we currently work in, it's quite exciting. Our biggest pitch to them is, again, like they have to spin their wheels on like the on the ground efforts on what they're doing in their community and in the state. They don't have the time to come in and co-facilitate an animal welfare education program, but we do. So just the fact we had the outside help to come in, offer branding, marketing efforts, like re-engage that community. Again, we're leading these programs. We're having these partners just co-facilitate and add like their local spin on things, because the reality for animal welfare in Knoxville, Tennessee is way different than it would be in communities in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, but what really engaged us and thought, wow, this is something, is that they were seeing with everything happening stateside that engaging the local Hispanic community was quite a challenge. That any services coming to those communities, it was please go away. Even if it was it didn't matter. So the
Yeah.
fact that we are a US nonprofit, probably working in Latin America, having a staff that is predominantly Hispanic, that this partnership could help engage those communities. And then we thought, well, we didn't think of this, but we
Sure.
thought that's an amazing thing to work with.
Hmm.
Our second assigned partner was the Anderson Humane Society in Elgin, Illinois, a little outside of Chicago, and that kind of like our marketing branding plan came from to seek more animals because in the north there's not as many animals as in the south is finding like a way to get animals from Latin America to these rescues to kind of like track that journey because again it could be a story that engages wow the animals in Nicaragua are the same as the animals in our community they were just born in a different place so
Yeah.
it's just we've kind of developed these partnerships with people we found they all have different needs but it's their attempt to like think of their animal rescue in a global perspective not just in their community because not everyone just wants to help animals here. They want to provide a better value and help animals abroad. They just don't know about it. So
Mm.
to date, we're at 9 signed partners. We're seeking more. Um, we're looking to find partners in each states again, and we can have multiple partners in multiple states because we're looking for funding in their community, in their state, in their region, and then nationally. But we feel we can bring a lot of value to these rescues because we're acting on their behalf to help them seek funding for these programs to empower what they're doing. So we're trying to use this unique perspective and game plan to see what's possible in a way.
It's interesting. I don't know that I've ever heard of a concept like this, where it's like you're helping that inner community, but it's also helping what you're trying to do outside of the States. Um, that's cool. What a cool concept.
It really is, and you know that. I mean, once you're on the show, you're always a friend of the show. And so, if you have announcements you'd like to make, whether you want to make them uh, like directly or you want to share that information with us to disseminate, we're happy to do that. However, we can get the word out there. I think that's super important, and I want people to check out the website too. It's the or the however you want to use it. The Animal Alliance. I don't know. Sorry, I say it. I don't. Do you say the or the?
The
Yeah.
animal
All
lives.
right, fine. TheAnimalAlliance.org. TheAnimalAlliance.org. Check them out, man. Their website is really, really cool.
Hmm.
There's a lot of valuable information. You can learn more about their team, the programs that they're running. I highly recommend it. Check it out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, with y'all's partnerships, beyond the community education, what else, has come with that, with those local organizations here in the States?
In the States, just because it is a newer concept,
Mhm.
our first cohort is set to launch in late October. We
Okay.
haven't seen the realities of what that partnership stateside comes with.
Okay.
I can speak more to our partnerships in Latin America,
Yeah.
and it's the same things, lack of
Got it.
resources, funding, staff, that we have kind of distanced ourselves to try to work on this transformation. Because again, if we still rely on like this band of small people, like providing the little money we have to give, the cycle never stops. It never breaks. So we're really trying to focus on we have to like meet the right people, pitch the right programs to find the right people to invest in what this all is. So to be continued. We'll check back end of
For
the year, but our
sure.
first cohort is set to launch late October. So this is
Cool. Okay.
our
Nice.
early announcement to find more people.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to see, kind of where it goes and what it all encompasses. And, hopefully it's a direction that helps both, stateside and Latin America. I think, again, I don't think I've ever heard of anything like kind of going double side because, in our industry, animal welfare in general, you have the people who are just like, we have enough problems over here, why are we worrying about problems outside of the States?
Yes.
Where it's like we can only make a change if we spread the word globally. Like we can
And
only help people help animals
yes.
if we can spread the message.
And you bring up a valuable point, right? Like people will go to that. Well, don't we need to fix what's in our backyard first? And I've brought it up on either episodes before or just in general conversation where it's like, are we in a place where we should be rescuing dogs from other countries and bringing them here when we have this huge overpopulation already in our country? And I don't know if there's a right answer to that. I think the reality is, can't we just help animals that need help? And some of the things that we're doing can either be inspirations for others or can eventually branch off and help in ways that maybe we haven't or aren't at the place where we can yet. And maybe sometimes it's easier, and maybe that's not the right word, to start up in countries like you're doing right now than it would be to go to Memphis, Tennessee, and do this same project. So, and to be honest, too, people are for whatever reason when it has kind of a unique backing like yours does, it people are more tend to get involved with it than Detroit, Michigan dogs. No one cares about that, right? That's a
No, it's,
harsh
we just
harsh reality, but it's true.
no, and again, like kind of is to re-engage as communities all across, again, like
Mhm.
the Americas, to just engage in their community, stateside, Nicaragua, else doesn't matter. We just want people to care. But we live in a global society, and if that is the case, we do need to care about all animals in all capacities. It's just if people do have like a small amount of resources to give, our like value proposition is you can just do more abroad. And again, as everything works, again, we can help fix these small countries. Again, countries the size of states.
Yeah.
Well, then again, this can like that movement, that wave of enthusiasm can come back stateside because again, there are still major problems in the states that do need to be corrected.
Hmm.
We're just trying to gain momentum where we can, and it just happens to be here.
Which is
But
awesome.
yeah, yeah, no, that's a it's a cool thing. I have the rest of my life to help take care of this. So there we are.
I love the passion.
Absolutely. Thomas, what else is kind of going on, or is there anything you wanted to share that our listeners really may find interesting, or you just think is cool and you want to share with our listeners?
Um, yeah, outside of we are actively recruiting co-facilitators for our community engagement program. This can be anyone stateside who would brand themselves as an animal welfare advocate, who would be interested in co-facilitating a 6-week virtual program that we are creating. They will have like the ability to kind of customize what they would like to speak on in those weeks. And then once the 6-week program is done, we have like a budget allocated for 3 in-person events.
Nice,
So not
nice.
only are we doing things virtual, we have a budget to have them every 2 months, 3 months, however they do it, to enact like what they learned in their local community, and that will be funded
That's awesome.
because we're then trying to take that research on how did you feel about animal welfare prior to this program, after this program, after the first event, second event, and then again apply for more funding based on the research of how we help shape the minds of compassion and empathy towards animals in the program. So we do have this grander plan to how this would all work. So we are inviting anyone interested in the States to reach out to Thomas at theanimalliance.org or go to the website, send us a submission form. We're looking to speak to anyone that feels they can help co-facilitate a program with us. What is also coming is we have a cultural experience that we're looking to promote in both Nicaragua and El Salvador, to where we can invite people for a cost to come down to these countries to see the reality of what's happening on the grounds.
Mhm.
We provide the accommodations, the food, the transportation. We make it as comfortable as they can coming to a country they may have never been to. But we're offering 4 to 8 day programs for people to kind of do this voluntourism type concepts through the
How,
Animal Alliance.
how do I sign up? Because is there vegan food too? I'm just checking. Um,
We we can make it we can accommodate whatever the individual needs. A lot of our partners are vegan too, so
okay.
you would be going to places that are very vegan friendly, and this community is very progressive thinking in that capacity. So
All
that
right.
information is coming soon. I will have to send it to you then.
Yeah,
That's cool.
where do I fly into, man? I'm trying to go see this. I'm trying to go see these street dogs. No, it's so funny, but when we were it's kind of cool. Like we intentionally did this when we were in Cabo a couple years ago. I was like, F this tourist area, let's go see the real community. And we just went into
Hmm.
neighborhoods that we probably had no business being in. And but like I think people recognize like you're not there to do anything bad. And there were dogs everywhere, and we were like walking around trying to communicate with the people. I don't speak enough Spanish to really get me by. Siéntate, siéntate. But that's as good as I get, Bishop. I'm sorry. I don't have the look. I know she's made y'all should have seen her face on YouTube.
Hey, listen, I'm technically a no sabo kid, so you know what? It's fine.
Okay, un poquito. See, that's about all I have. But no, we would go in that community, or we were in that community in Cabo, and like it felt so just genuine. Like everybody was cool. The dogs were pretty much all friendly. Now they had ticks like throughout their body. It was sad,
Mm,
but no, I love that stuff, man. Just getting out there, getting a feel for the community is really awesome.
yeah, no,
Seeing how you can help too, you know.
no, but that's yeah, kind of another big announcement that's launching soon. We feel we have the infrastructure and foundation in place to provide a very pleasant experience for groups, individuals, couples, families, whatever it may be. So that is coming soon. So that will all be on our website redesign coming, but we rely heavily on our social medias. So at the.animal.alliance on Instagram, TikTok, they can find out more.
You see, I messed him up. He just said the Animal Alliance. I messed him up, Thomas. Sorry, man.
No, I know it's
It's interchangeable, man. It's
no,
interchangeable.
it is now I don't know what the reality of the world is, but we'll make it work.
Also, their logo is super cool, y'all. Like
Yeah,
I was looking at it and I was like, oh wow, it's a map in the paw. I was
that's
like, that's
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah, that's really cool. You should have a little. Do you have a shop on your website where you sell those? That's a really cool logo for sure.
It is
We're
cool.
we're working on it. Yeah,
I was like,
we're
merch.
I need one.
the merch. We wanted to sell merch. We did actually launch an online store, but we found it was incredibly difficult to actually get it shipped to Latin America, and this is where most of
Mm,
our kind of like following is. So
hmm
our attempt to come back stateside for a few months is to reinvigorate our community stateside because those will be the individuals probably purchasing
Yeah, yeah.
all of our cool merch. But that is coming. So we
Nice.
are innovative to say the least. We're working on all kinds of ideas.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you being part of the show. Again, check
hmm
out the animalalliance.org or check them out, the Animal Alliance, anywhere on social media. And man, you're always welcome back. And like I said, if you have any announcements you want to share, just send them our way, and we'll be happy to get that broadcasted.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. We very much do appreciate it. Thank you to the both of you. Good to get to know you more. And yeah, what y'all are doing is needed. It's nice. And no, I think y'all have a nice little report going on. So yeah, keep it up.
You missed out because the other Ashley, man,
There's another Ashley Bishop.
there's two Ashley Bishops, but the other one, while she's in her rice patty factory right now, that girl got some sass, man. I'm actually glad she's
Mhm.
not here right now because she would be a Daniel.
Stop. Stop.
Well, see,
We
no,
love her though.
We do.
Thanks again, Thomas. We really do
yes.
appreciate it. And as we always like to say on the show, let's continue.
To help people.
Help animals. That was my part. My bad. Keep it humane. She can't even do it.
I can't.